why did we actually choose to actually have this series? And so really in a world that's constantly evolving and it's multifaceted, the role of leadership has been changing. And never before is leadership critical. And I think many of you can probably agree to that. And whether it's in the corporate sector, the public sector, not-for-profits, and even in our daily lives, effective leadership is really something that we're looking for to make a difference. And it can make a big difference between success and failure, progress and stagnation, and quite frankly, between harmony and discord. And so leadership is not merely a position or title. We've really been attuned to this concept for quite a while. And we're really focused on the demand that the market really wants for more leaders and more world changers.
So hindsight 2020, even though it was hard, I'm so glad I took the experience, because I think every experience, you're going to learn something, whether it's hard skills or soft skills. So I learned, all my data fundamentals. Like I am now able to, go on an Excel spreadsheet and just like play it like a beautiful piano on keyboard. Maybe it's not as well as I used to, but you learn a lot of skills. But for me, I also learned what type of leader I wanted to be. And there were there were some really great leaders I had a chance to work with that really protected me, made sure that I was just like mentally, physically okay with kind of the 90-hour plus work weeks that we had. But there are also lots of leaders where I was like, I probably wouldn't want to talk to someone like that. I probably would want to feel different. I also realized that diversity for me was important. At that time, I didn't feel like there was a lot of diversity on either gender or ethnicity or sexual orientation. And so it also just gave me this pivot in hindsight of just like, one, lean into wherever you are in the present, but just always realize even if it's really hard, you're going to be learning something from it. You may not realize it in the moment, but you will learn. And so in that moment, just lean into it and then make sure you have the right conversations on what to do next. One thing I really stand by as a leader that I've learned from others is I think our job as leaders, no matter what, is to bring out the best in other people. And that is, I fundamentally believe in positive intentions. I fundamentally believe that everybody always has something going on in their life and everything, and they just want to do good. It may not always come off that way, but as a leader, how do you make sure that you give the benefit of the doubt and drive that? Now, coupled with that, I would say, where I really got that from one of my leaders is early on, in my early days of Louis Vuitton. It was my first job going from an individual contributor, where all I had to do was just like do well, do everything on my own accord, and inherited this team of like 200 people for my first multi-store field leadership role. She gave me a nice little rude awakening one day. In our 3-month check-in, she's like, how do you think you're doing? I'm like, good, like my numbers are up, like we're launching like all this cool like activations and events, like my customer engagement scores are up. And she's like, okay, how do you think you're doing with your team? I'm like, good, they are doing everything I tell them to do. She goes, you need to stop there. She goes, you need to realize that you have this fancy MBA degree. I get that, I don't. You have this beautiful kind of skill set around Excel and presentation skills. She's like, I don't. But you have to realize that as a human, you have 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You need to be listening and observing way more than you're speaking. And I was like, wow, she really gave me like a kick in the pants. But it was in such a way of like, she's like, if I don't catch this girl now in terms of how she's approaching this, she is not going to be able to really be able to blossom in the core skill sets that she has. And she did it in a way that made me feel safe. It made me, it was direct. Like she gave that message direct. She was not sugarcoating it. So I learned that's also like, people want to hear the truth. So as a leader, like giving a feedback and how you deliver it, but she gave it in a way that was also, she's like, I want you to be successful. So I need you to hear this from me now before you get too deep. So go talk to your teams about how they feel you're doing, and then come back to me and tell me what you've learned. Something I've started kind of thinking of how to balance is what I call fierce grace. I am somebody who, like I said, I really believe in positive intentions. I really believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt. But at some point, you also got to call people out on their part of my French BS. And so how do you do that in a way, again, that is like balanced? So I think as a leader, more and more, you start living these paradoxes. You start thinking about, how can I be fierce? How can I drive, accountability, positive accountability? How can I stand for my own point of view in the sea of other people, but yet not be disruptive? And by the way, some of this also may be because I'm a female, so just putting it out there. But I think all of it is just saying, as I'm leading, you have to find that balance, and there's always going to be a paradox. Another paradox that I really want to lead in with my team is what I now call confident vulnerability. And this really is only something that has come to me, I would say, since becoming a mom. How do you show up every day as a senior leader, feeling confident, knowing that you have your strategy, your plan, your action plan together, but also realizing that leaders are human, and realizing for others in your team and the whole ecosystem or the company that they see somebody who has that confident vulnerability, but can be a human and can really lean into just, we're all going through something, and being able to kind of, drive that, I think is so important, because at the end of the day, being a human is our common denominator, no matter what title you have, what accolades you have, how much money you have, quite frankly. And I think it's just important that people always are rooted in that. And it was definitely like a title war. Everyone's just like one-upping each other, and you kind of just like get into this phase. I'm like, well, I just finished selling wallflowers, clay plugins, so it's like I'm about to start my business, and I'm now the CEO of something already 5 years out. You really just have to stay grounded in yourself. And one thing I think is also kind of a bit of a nugget that I've always reminded myself is, and I kind of alluded earlier, chasing curiosity is sometimes more important than chasing the title, because over time things will get to a place, and you hear things like follow your passions, yes, but to me it's really about chasing curiosity. Like, let your ambition fuel you, but don't let your ambition always lead you, because you're going to be missing something in the peripheral vision. But it is hard. It's hard to stay grounded, but I would say over time, everyone realizes the things that are most important in life, right? And so people do get more grounded, they have more conversations, and honestly, just cut all that noise out. If you have people who are toxic in your life and are always one-upping, we don't have time for that. Like, it's just, I'm done. I don't need to compete on everything. Like, I'm just done. Sometimes you can't run away from it, but just like, I don't know, put in earplugs or something. It's sometimes as simple as that. Just don't surround yourself with that energy.